Everyone is aware of the lawsuit between Ripple and the SEC and what happened as a result. But times have changed, and now XRP is hitting new heights. The SEC is also no longer a threat, which is the best sign ever for the market. Crypto experts think that the price of XRP Ripple coin could reach $10,000. It's not just a report either. They're sure it will happen. You really shouldn't miss this video. Trust me. Let's jump right in. Notice of dis people in the crypto world are angry at Gary Gensler again because of what he said. Gensler used to be the chair of the SEC. He repeated in a recent interview with CNBC his well-known view that almost all cryptocurrencies other than Bitcoin are just risky schemes that will fail. Gensler says that these coins don't have any real value and are mostly driven by hype. Many of them end up being fake in the end. He says that Bitcoin is the only thing that doesn't fit the description of a security. Gensler quickly said that the whole crypto space is full of scams, but John Deaton, who is famous for representing XRP users in Ripple's court case, was just as quick to point out what he sees as clear hypocrisy. It was brought to the attention of the public that Gensler often uses the spectacular failure of FTX to defend his strict enforcement-first policy, but Gensler has never talked about the private talks he has had with Sam Bankman-Fried, the disgraced founder of FTX. Reports say that Gensler and other officials met with SBF more than once before FTX went bankrupt. The fact that these meetings were never talked about in public, along with SBF's allegedly as high as $10 million in political donations to the Biden administration, has raised concerns about unfair treatment. It was clear that Deaton was curious about whether Gensler purposely ignored FTX, letting it work with fewer limits than other platforms. Deaton said that this selective quiet makes people in the crypto community doubt what the SEC is doing and why it isn't doing anything about FTX. The long-lasting silence has turned into a problem in and of itself. Suppose Gensler really thought the crypto space was full of scams and speculative bubbles, then why didn't he warn people about one of the biggest scams in modern financial history until it was too late? A lot of people in the XRP and crypto community think that the lack of transparency is more important than Gensler's latest warnings about altcoins. Gensler's exit has already caused a change in tone at the SEC, which is interesting. The new chair, Paul Atkins, seems determined to move away from Gensler's strict style. Atkins said at the Wyoming Blockchain Symposium that not all cryptocurrencies are securities. He said that this depends on how the coin is structured and how it works in real life. Gensler's broad view, which put almost all digital assets in the same category as stocks, has been completely changed by that point of view. Even more important, the SEC has announced Project Crypto, a plan to bring securities rules up to date for the digital age. The goal is to connect assets like stocks, bonds, and currencies with digital platforms by using blockchain technology in standard financial markets. The change will happen slowly, but it shows that the government is finally realizing how important blockchain will be to the world economy. This feels like a turning point for people who own XRP and for the cryptocurrency space as a whole. There are still a lot of questions about Gensler's silence on FTX, but with Atkins's more complex view and the start of Project Crypto, the SEC may finally be changing from being an enemy to being a partner. If that change turns out to be real, it could be the start of more open and fair rules that protect investors while also allowing new ideas to grow. This story keeps getting stranger and stranger until you think it can't get any stranger. Of course, the experts couldn't help but just look at some of the most recent posts on social media. Harry wrote on Twitter that XRP was about to go up. Followers were reassured by XRP update that XRP is back on track, albeit slowly but steadily. However, it's the more outspoken voices that are getting the most attention. For example, XRP Dragon asked the million-dollar question, will XRP hit $100 during this surge? Let's make that dream come true. John Squire added his own share to the excitement once XRP hits $100. Right now, I have $1 million. The excitement isn't just made up on social media. Analysts and neighborhood experts are both predicting some shocking events. Some people think that the price of XRP, which is currently around $3, is way too low. Some optimism is backed up by past success. XRP made a huge jump of almost 600% between November 2024 and January 2025, which reminded investors of how quickly and dramatically it can grow. Some think it will only go up to $50 or $100, but others are ready to go even further. Eduardo Fina, who started Alpha Lions Academy, thinks that $100 is a reasonable goal. A small group of very hopeful people think that the value will rise over time to thousands of dollars or even tens of thousands of dollars. Xena, who is well known in the XRP community, has one of the most sure sounds. She didn't think twice when asked if she thought XRP could reach $10,000. Without a doubt, it will. She gave a reason. At this point, XRP is in the same early stage as Bitcoin and Ethereum. Some people laughed when Bitcoin hit $1,000 and Ethereum hit $5, but those who trusted their guts and made those early bets became famous. Even though some people didn't believe her, Xena bought Bitcoin between $200 and $600 and Ethereum for $5, and it paid off. Today, she thinks that XRP gives her a similar chance. Xena is aware of the doubters, but she doesn't let them change her mind. She talks about Bearable Guy, a mysterious figure in the XRP community who thinks XRP is still very cheap. This is a view shared by even Ripple executives Brad Garlinghouse and David Schwartz. Xena also talks about small trends in the XRP community, such as the number 589 showing up over and over again. Some people see this as a sign of Ripple's plans. A co-founder of Ripple named Arthur Brito is said to have said that XRP was built to hit $10,000, which she brings up in her speech. It's clear that the math behind these crazy statements is crazy. To get to $10,000 from where it is now, the price of XRP would have to rise by over 456,000%. This would put its market cap at an incredible $590 trillion, which is a lot more than the present global M2 money supply of about $90 trillion. People who are very good at investing would stop and blink at that number. Even so, history has shown that rises that seem impossible aren't completely impossible in the world of crypto. What's really interesting about XRP is that it has support from the community, from business leaders, and from real-world use. The direction of the token shows a market that is both passionate and looking to the future, even if the $10,000 goal stays out of reach. Xena says that critics will always be around, but what sets believers apart from skeptics is their focus on the signs that count. And these signs show that XRP has a huge amount of room to grow right now. We can't stop here, though, because Ripple is more than just guessing prices. In the background, some very important agreements are being formed. Also, trust me when I say that this is the best sign for the market in years. Stay tuned because this could change everything for XRP. This means that XRP is starting to make noise not only on trade charts but also in the halls of central banks. The crypto community is very excited about a new working paper from Bank Negara Malaysia. It is part of their July 2025 study series. Smoke, a crypto researcher, pointed out important parts of the paper that This makes it a good choice for cross-purchase payments and enterprise adoption. The working paper even looks at hybrid solutions that combine account-based payment systems with distributed ledger technology. This shows an idea that XRP could live alongside regular money, connecting the old and new financial worlds. What does this have to do with the price of XRP? If companies, payment processors, or even central banks use the token all over the world, demand could go up by a huge amount. If XRP were to become a real currency that could be used to send money across countries, it would be very useful. In contrast to dealing on speculation, this kind of real-world use adds structural value to the network. As more people and businesses hold XRP to make payments possible, the amount in circulation decreases, pushing prices higher. Also, talking about XRP in a central bank study setting could have an effect on regulators in other nations, which could speed up adoption in those places. In the past, when central banks recognized the value of a digital asset, it often led to more market trust and money coming in from institutional investors. When you add this to the momentum, community excitement, and strategic relationships that XRP already has, the picture becomes even more compelling. When we talk about XRP, we have to talk about what the whales are doing. You should come here because there's a lot to see. Millions of XRP coins are being quietly gathered by these big players behind the scenes. Their actions could be setting the stage for a huge pump. Wait a minute, because what's next could make the market completely different. So investors and experts are once again interested in what whales are doing in the XRP market. Based on mood data, XRP whales sold about 160 million coins, which is equal to $480 million in just 2 weeks. Their total shares reached a high point of 6.95 billion XRP at that time, but soon fell to about 6.77 billion. These whales, who usually have between 1 million and 10 million tokens, can have a huge effect on market mood and price direction just by the size of their moves. It's interesting that this trend isn't just seen in smaller whales. Since the beginning of the month, people who own 10 million to 100 million XRP have been slowly selling their coins. With assets going down from